Participants. This is Dr. Krishnan from Annamalai University from the Center for Skill Development. And I thank on behalf of Annamalai University the Only Success for taking necessary steps to deliver the talk. And also I thank all the participants. We have received almost about 1,200 enrollment. But however, due to the restriction, we are allowing the first 500 participants to participate in the online webinar. So the webinar is handled by Mr. Vidyashankar Gurumurthy. He is the alumni of Annamalai University and the CEO and founder of Only Success. So he has conducted a lot of events all over the globe, and presently today he is going to give on the leadership mystery. I welcome Mr. Vidyashankar Gurumurthy to join the meeting. Welcome, Mr. Vidyashankar.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Krishnan. So it is definitely a privilege to associate with Annamalai University to deliver this particular training program. I graduated from Annamalai University. I did both my engineering and also my master's in business administration from Annamalai University. So it is always wonderful to connect back to my university. So at this point of time, I take this great opportunity to welcome each and every one of you, right? I mean, all of you from various parts of the state, various part of the country has connected for this particular session. Because when Dr. Krishnan just proposed this, we have to go ahead and do a certification program, online program. So I was actually wondering what should be the program focus on, what should be the takeaway from the program. Because if you go ahead check, one of the very important need at this point of time is actually the need for leadership skills. Why it is something so important? Irrespective of whatever kind of roles you are doing, maybe I'm sure some of you here are actually teachers, right? You meet up with a lot of students, some of you are students, right? I mean, various categories of people have actually connected right now. So if you go ahead, check each and every one of us right now, leadership skills are something so critical and important. And why is it so? Because the kind of environment what we are going through right now, it is completely unprecedented. We have never seen something like this before. Life is no more the same, right? Whatever we thought, whatever we perceived, whatever we thought this is how life is going to be, we actually understand no more it is the same. Because if you stop for a moment and then think, I mean, not even one flight is flying today, right? Right now, as I'm talking to you, it's not even one flight is flying today. And so many days vehicles were not moving. It's completely unbelievable situation. And kids are not going to school, right? And colleges are not open. And if you ask when things are going to change, we don't have an answer for it, right? Almost none of us have the answer for when all these things will come back to normal, right? So instead, we started talking about a new normal. Things are going to be completely new, and that is going to be the normal in life. That's something what each and everyone have to get used to it. And so if you ask me, what is it we are going through? Are we going through a lot of trouble? Not exactly. We are not going through a lot of trouble, because most of us are having this wonderful maybe leverage or gifted to the extent of where you can possibly stay at home. That's why you are able to come on online to listen to this session. You are able to stay at home. You can spend time with family, all those things. But if you go ahead, check closely, about 10% of mankind is going through very tough time. maybe typically the health workers, the police force, the sanitation force, all of them are going through a very tough time. And what we are going through is somewhat different. It is not something which is too tough. It is actually, I will say, a lot of uncertainty. And if you ask what is the size of uncertainty, it is incredible. How much uncertainty we are going through, it's unbelievable. Right? As simple as you don't even know when possibly you can walk into a theater to watch a movie. Right? It's such a simple task, we don't have clarity. So, what is the kind of uncertainty we have? If that is the case, what is the clarity we have with respect to your future plans, your studies, when your exams are going to happen? And some of you are parents, you are not sure when your children are going to get back to schools. They have to take their public exams, board exams. I mean, it's not clear, right? It's very tough. So if you ask, uncertainty is highest on a scale of 1 to 100. If you want me to score how much uncertainty we are going through, it is close to 100, right? It is over 95 is what is the size of uncertainty we are going through. And leadership emerges out of crisis. And if you ask how important leadership skills are at this point of time, very, very fine. What are all leadership skills, or how important leadership skills are, right? And before going forward, some of you may be wondering, will I be able to get over this situation? Or is it this particular situation, what we are going through, is it too hard that I may not be able to come out of it at all? In the past, whether humankind has seen something like this, definitely yes. If you check, maybe certain events happens once in a day. Some of the events happens once in a week. There are events happens, say, once in a month. There are certain events happens once in a year, and there are certain events which happens once in a decade, and there are certain more events which happens once in a century. And what we are going through right now, this kind of pandemic, is happens once in a century. Typically in 1919, the world has faced something called as the Spanish flu. And after almost 100 years, we are experiencing something very similar. And if you ask me, will this pass? Yes, this will pass. But will it leave a scar on us? Definitely yes. Because it is going to permanently change. People live their life, people interact with each other. What we were defining as the social way of connecting with others is completely redefined. And the biggest question is this: will you be able to take up this? Will you be able to handle this? Let me ask you this question. The question is this: am I capable? Am I capable to handle this? Because I come from the science of world of NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, right? Neuro-linguistic programming is a science which helps us to bring out the human excellence. Because I'm in the field of training, bringing out excellence of human beings almost for the past 15 to 20 years, where I work with human life, help them to understand the limiting thoughts, limiting behaviors, help them to break out of this and move forward. This is something what I do as a profession, right? That is something what I come from. Maybe I have this opportunity to work with thousands of people over several years. So one of the things what I've actually understood is this, or the field where I've started is from the science of NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. I'm a certified NLP practitioner, or a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. And if you ask what NLP stands for, right? As I said, or what N stands for. N stands for neuro, right? N stands for neuro. And when I say neuro, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by neuro? Let me ask you this, because I also have my senior trainer, Sampath, as part of this session. Sampath will also just join me for this particular part of the program. So if you go ahead, check, neuro stands for nervous system, right? I mean nervous system. And we asked how powerful our neurons are. When I say nervous system, I'm talking about your neurons. Neurons are certain things which are there in the brain, right? And each and every one of us have neurons. And if I ask you how powerful our neurons are, yeah, Sam, maybe I will just request you to enable your audio video. Maybe I thought we'll just have a short conversation on this. Yeah, how powerful our neurons are.
Yeah.
Number one, because always Sampath have this rich experience of training against several thousands of people, right? Sam, you're there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
Good evening, all. Neuron, when we are talking about neuron, okay, what comes to your mind when we are talking about neuron is like the nervous system, right? So, for example, when I'm talking about nervous system, you know that, right? What is 1 plus 2? 1 plus 2 is 3, right? 1 plus 2 is 3. So when we are very young, we used to say, what is 1 plus 2? We will teach them 1 in finger, 2 in mind, or 2 in finger, 1 in mind. After 2 is 1, right? So 2 and 3, right? So when we are talking about nervous system, we have n number of nervous systems, right? We have n number of nervous system. We're talking about nervous system. We have something called as neurons.
Sampath has this unique way of asking children, so which I'm going to ask him shortly, right? So one thing what I was asking was, when it comes to one neuron, right? One neuron, how powerful it is with respect to the processing speed and the memory capacity, right? So which is actually more powerful than
one superpower computer.
Superpower, because children, right? That's why I thought I should bring them on screen right now. And so I'm going to take this support from Sam to ask this question, because we'll just do a demo, like, right? So if some of you say this powerful the neurons are, the next question is going to be, how many neurons we all have, right? I mean, if you can go ahead, type few things on your chat window, please go ahead, do it. I will watch the chat window. So how many neurons we all have? Yes. How many neurons we all have? Okay, Sam, now I'll ask you, how many neurons we all have? So I want
you to tell us have, when I came to, yes. So when I came to know the neurons, how many neurons we all have, so I was so excited, and I came to know that there are 1 million neurons, right? So you can say to yourself, how many neurons we all have? You should repeat after me. 1 million neurons. How many neurons we all have? You can say it in your mind. 1 million neurons, right? And
Sam,
whenever we train about, whenever
sir, 86 billion neurons, sir.
Sam, I want you to say the way you'll be teaching the children.
Okay, fine. So when I say this 1 million neuron, yeah, now you'll say, okay, Mr. Vidyashankar told something, and Sampath was also telling something on neurons. And when I ask about tomorrow, how many neurons we all have, you will think they gave me some number, right? So I'll make it more outstanding. We will do like this, right? The first step, when somebody is asking you how many neurons we all have, the first step is, right, we have 3 steps, right? The first step is you should be amazed and say, wow, right? So whenever you're getting a wow feel, whenever you know something outstanding, how you
Neurons
will
have
feel,
86
right?
million.
The first step is wow, right? You should say wow. And the second
You
step
all
is
have to
you should
say
look
like what
towards your right.
exactly is this, because I think there is some little delay in the video, so I'll just share what Sam is saying. You need to say like, wow, 1 million neurons, right? That is something what you need to say. And maybe if some of you wonder, oh, this is something lesser, lower, all those things. So even if it is say assume 1 million lesser or 1 million more, it's not going to make any difference, right? Why I am sharing this with you, because when it comes to the kind of capability what you have, it is something phenomenally high. Why I am telling you this, many of us have this doubt right now, right? The doubt is this: will I be able to pass through this situation? Will I be able to go through this particular situation, right? And the question is this: when it comes to the capability what you have, it is phenomenally great. It's phenomenally wonderful. That is not an issue at all. And apart from it, when I say YAL or the linguistic stands for this. Linguistic stands for the language. In this context,
Scientific
when
study
I
of
say
language.
language, it is the language of the mind. And there was a study which was done to find out how many times we talk to ourselves. And I'm talking about like 30 years back, there was a doubt whether people talk to self, right? And later what they found out was this: yes, people talk to self. And some of you wonder, oh, whether I talk to myself. Yeah, definitely, yes, you are talking to yourself, right? And how many times we talk to ourselves? It is almost like 80,000 times in a day we talk to ourselves. That is something what they've established. And out of this 80,000 times, if most of the times, if it is positive, then you turn out to be a positive person. If most of the times is not positive, then you turn out to be a negative person. This is something what they have actually established, right? And if you go ahead check right now, because we are bombarded with lot of negative news, negative information, the kind of language what to use on yourself is something so important, right? You must have to stay focused on positive things. You must have to keep focusing on positive things. That helps you to move forward, right? And this is something a learning from the science of NLP. Why I'm sharing you this, because many of you may have this challenge. Number one, will I be able to cross through this situation? Will I be able to pass through this situation? The first confirmation is this: this too shall pass. Always in the past, the human life has faced challenging situation, and then they've crossed over it. Good number of times or always, right? And apart from it, you have to be watchful with respect to kind of words and kind of things what to say to yourself. That is also something very, very important. And so why I'm telling you this, because if you check, or if I ask you this question, people who are the leaders or people who are so successful in life, whether they have used any specific formula for themselves. Have they used a specific formula? Yes or no? Right? And if I tell you, yes, they have used a specific formula, I'm sure it is something very interesting for you. Right? They all have used one single formula to be successful. And some of you are wondering, is it a single formula? I can't believe it. Right? And the truth is this: whatever be the kind of person they are, if you call them successful, they all have used one single formula. And let me ask you this question: what is that formula? Just put it on your chat window. Just type out what is that single formula, what they all have used as a single formula. If somebody is successful, what is it they have used? Hard work, positivity, persistence, good, patience, positive attitude, innovation, attitude, good self-confidence, smart work, dedication, wonderful, all these things. These are all the various set of things which people use. And my next question is this, be ready to key in, whether all of them use one single formula to be successful. Yes or no? Okay, I'll tell you this, right? I see a lot of no's, right? But interestingly, the answer is yes. And if it is yes, is it exciting? Is it exciting? Why? Because if you know it, you can also take it and use it. Wonderful, right? If you know this is one single formula, what is the best part of it? You can also take it, use it in your life. And once you use it in your life, you have no choice but you become a leader, right? And shall I share with you that one single formula? How many of you are like super excited? Are you excited? Okay, I will share with you that, right? If you go ahead, check what I will be calling as the ultimate success formula, right? The ultimate success formula. And what do you think is the very first step? Say, people who are successful, what do you think is the very first step? And I'm sure some of you have seen the screen. Yeah, what do you think is the very first step? Is actually the goals. People who are successful, they all have their goals set. They all know what is it they want in their life. They all are very clear. This is what something I want in my life. So the same question I'm going to ask you, right? Have you defined your goal? Whether are you aware this is what something I want in my life? And once you have a goal, what do you think is the next step? What do you think is the next step? What do you think? Say you have a goal set, then what a wonderful, many of you are on dot, you are saying planning. That's right. The next step is actually planning, which is this, where I call it as a strategy. Is strategy very, very important? Once you have a goal, you should have a strategy or planning, scheduling, right? You have done it right? The second step is actually strategy. Strategy is what? How to get what you want. That is what is strategy. Say, some of you may decide, oh, I want to finish my doctorate, right? That may be the goal. Then how will you actually achieve it? Some of you, if you're students listening, you may say, oh, I want to ensure I score I'm the topper in the class, right? That may be the goal, but what is the strategy? How much time you are going to study, what subjects you need to focus on, which books you need to study, maybe all those sort of things, right? How is your study structure, all those things, right? So once you have a goal, the second step is going to be the kind of strategy what you have. And strategy is very important, yes or no?
Yes.
Exactly, right? If you go ahead and say strategy is very, very important.
Yes.
Because if the strategy is not right, understand this,
Yes,
irrespective
sir.
of the amount of efforts what you put in, you will not achieve what you want. Let your head drop, you will not achieve what you want. Right? That is the importance of strategy. And what do you think is the third step? What is the third step? You have a goal, you have a strategy, then what is the third step?
Planning.
Third step is actually this. The third step is going to be your action, taking action.
Action.
So taking action, is it easy or difficult? See, if you go ahead, have a goal, you have a
Goal.
strategy, right? Taking action, is it easy or difficult? Right? Just key it in your chat window. You don't have to talk because it may be difficult if you keep answering on the microphone. You can type it on the chat. It's easy for me, right? So if you go ahead, check, first step is goal. Second step is strategy. Assuming you have strategy, you have goal, is taking action easy, difficult? Yeah, I think it depends on the person. It is difficult. I see good number of, yeah, it is easy. It is difficult. I mean, it's mixed response, right? So as you said, it may be kind of goal, size of goal. Definitely that is one. But in this context, I mean a meaningful goal, right? You cannot, I don't mean a very tiny goal. I'm telling a very meaningful goal, right? So if taking action is easy, what happens? Anybody can achieve their goal, correct? And if you ask me a statistics not from what I have read in some book, what I have practically seen, because I have the opportunity of training over 200,000 people in my lifetime. So something which I have practically seen is this: if you when from goal, strategy, the action step, how many people actually move is just 5% or lesser. Because in human life, 95% of people stop with strategy. Are you getting it? They set their goal, they have their strategy, but taking action, only 5% of people do it, or even lesser, right? Which is something what I have seen time and again over years. So what stops people, right? What do you think stops people? Why just 5% of people take action? What stops people, right? I mean, many of you have told, yeah, environment, definitely yes. Fear, lazy. I'll pick up these two words, very important. Fear, laziness, very, very important words, right? Risk is actually fear, right? Fear of failure, wonderful. Exactly. Not fully involved, confusion, laziness, exactly, right? Anxiety, losing interest, procrastination, demotivating, mental pressure, risk, wonderful, hesitation, great answers, right? If you go ahead, check predominantly, I will just summarize or put together these things: lack of self-esteem, self-confidence, situation, no trust with themselves, lack of skills, failure, stress. Wonderful. Two factors. Number one is this. I will summarize it as one: fear, right? Fear of anything, fear of failure, fear of anxiety, lack of confidence, all those things. And other factor is not fear, but laziness or procrastination. Procrastination means this: I will do it tomorrow. Are you getting it? How many of you can connect with this? Okay, I'll do it tomorrow, right? Assuming, oh, you need to do exercise. Okay, from tomorrow I'll start, right? How many of you know you have to do exercise, or you need to stretch your body, you need to do something? That too right now, almost for the past 40 years, 40 days, not 40 years, 40 days we are at home, right? And how many of you know it's so important to stretch your body, give them, and how many of you have actually done it, right? Is there a difference, right? Good. Good. Some of you are so honest. Some of you said, yes, I done it. If you have done it, wonderful. If you have not done it, that's also great. You're so honest, so truthful. So it is primarily, I just wanted to understand why we don't do it. Is not because we are not aware, we should that aware of it. When you come to take action, there are emotions which stops you. Like what? Intense
Please
fear,
repeat, sir.
right? Great fear stops people. If I fail, what happens? If I don't do things on time, what happens? So all those things, all right? That is one aspect. And other aspect is this. Other aspect is the procrastination or postponement. Okay, I'll do it later. Okay, I will do it tomorrow. So these are all the factors which stops them. So only meager amount of humankind migrates to strategy to action, which is less than 5%, because that is always, because I always say that is there is a line in the life which differentiates people. There are large amount of people who are below the line, who want to do it, who like to do it, who wish to do it, who feel they have to do it, right? All those things. And there is only 5% of people who feel I must have to do it, I am committed to do it. That is just 5% of people, right? So if you go ahead, check the next step, what makes a leader, what creates a leader is actually what? The first step is what? What is the first step? What is the first step?
Goal.
Oh, okay, wonderful, goal. What is the second step?
Strategy.
No need to say,
Strategy.
just key it in. You need not say. Strategy, wonderful. What is the third step?
Action, sir.
Action, wonderful.
Executing.
If you go ahead and take, what do you think is the fourth step? What is the, after you take action, then what happens?
Success will come.
So, no need to speak, you can just key
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir.
What is
Lazima.
see, once you take action, then what happens? Yeah,
Planning. Planning.
no need to speak, you just key it in, right? You take action. Planning is strategy. So you have a goal, you have a strategy, you take action. Then the next step, you take action, what do you get? You get results, right? I'm not telling you get success, right? You get some result. It may be anything, right? And let me ask you all, what is the probability of that result being a success? What is the probability? If some of you, I mean, if you know probability, what is that probability of the result being success? Right? 50%, 60, 40, 30, okay, 60, 95%, 50%, 10%, 100%, okay, may or may not occur, right? So in reality, if you go ahead check, the probability of this being successful is very, very minimal, right? Maybe some of you have told 10%, I'll say that itself good number of times is very high. I'm sure you will agree with me. When your goals are really big, when your goals are really meaningful, really important, right? It's the probability on the first time is minimal, but in reality, what happens is what? We call, if you achieve your result, we call it as a success, right? If you achieve the result, we call it as a success, right? And in this, if you don't achieve your result, if you are not able to achieve your result, what happens? People call this result as different things. We actually categorize them over a period of time. I have understood and categorized them as 3 different categories. Right? 3 different categories. Category number 1 is this, where they call the result as a failure. Got it? They call the result as a failure. Whenever they call the result as a failure, then what they do? They give up. They just give up. And when you give up, you never stop there, because human life works that way. You never stop. When you give up, you have a story to say. Why I can't do this because. And then you have excuses. You blame somebody else. You deny things or you complain. Right? See, you give excuses, you blame others, you deny things, or you complain. So these are all the reasons. That is the first category of people. where they call the result as a failure. So once they call the result as a failure, what they do? They just give up, right? And how I know after giving up, they will give excuses, blame, denial, complaint. How will I know that? Because that's a human behavior, human pattern. It's a pattern in human life because you've already called it as a failure. Because you have called it as a failure, there is every chance or always, which I am very sure of, you will call it as an, you will give an excuse, you will blame, you will deny, you will complain. Because you are defining it as a failure. There are second category of people. Who are they? What they do? Can you get? They don't give up so easily. Instead, what they do? The first category is the one who has to give up. Second category is, yes, exactly. They try it, right? They try. Try means what? You try me, they try it again and again. Somebody has put it right, try it again and again, which means they decide, I won't give up so easily. I will not give up so easily. Instead, what will I do? I will try. I will try and try and try. What do you mean by trying? See below. There is second category who decides to say, I will try. The second category of people, when they say, I try, what it means? They keep doing the same thing again and again, but they expect a different result. Will you get it? Not exactly. If you keep doing the same thing again and again, and then you expect a different result, it is called as heights of insanity. Thomas Alva Edison. Thomas Alva Edison has actually shown if you keep doing the same thing again and again, but you expect a different result, it is called as heights of insanity, right? And then, who are all the third category of people? What they do differently? I said there are categories of people, correct? So, who are the third category of people? What they do differently? Who are they? Exactly. Change strategy, reschedule that plan. Exactly. Successful people, right? Yeah, you can key it in. They introspect, right? They review the plan. They are smart workers. Wait for the right moment. Replan. Think out of the box. Right? Improve themselves. I'll not read out try again because try are the second category of people. Analyze it. Right? They took more efforts. Alternate action. Exactly. Right? Analyze their flaws. They never give up. Correct. Even the second category of people never give up. Right? But only thing is they keep doing the same thing again and again and expect a different result. Wonderful. Wonderful. Right? If you go ahead, check, there is a third category of people. What they do is this. They are a set of people who actually say there are no failures. Right? They say there are no failures. They actually tell there is nothing called as a failure. Instead, what? Because there is a huge difference between category 1 and category 3. Category 1 call it as a failure, so they give up. Category 3, they say it's not a failure at all. So whenever it is not a failure, then what they do? What they do? Exactly. They go ahead and change their strategy. They change their strategy and then they call it as a feedback and then change the strategy. It's not a failure, it's only a feedback. So I will change my strategy and then take their action again. And once they take their action, they get a result. Will they get what they want? Yes or no? Will they get what they want? Yeah, I saw one depends, one maybe, right? Many, yes. Many say sure. That's right. Wonderful. Correct. Right. So many of you actually say, right, yes. But if you go ahead check in real life, it is not the fact. Right. If you go ahead change strategy, there is no guarantee you will get what you want. Yes or no? Tell me this. Is it yes or no? Correct, right? It's not as you change the strategy, you will get it. You may or may not get it because I saw some answers. Yeah, it depends. You may or may not, depends on the strategy. Wonderful, depends on the strategy. Whatever reasons, you may or may not get what you want. Then what do you do? If you don't get what you want, then what do you do? Then you go ahead again, change your strategy, again take action, again get the result. No try, no try. You have to do it. Right? Again, you go ahead, do it. Then what do you do? What do you get? Will you get what you want? Yes or no? Yes or no? Maybe yes. I'm sure you will agree with me. Maybe yes. Yes or no? Correct? You may or may not get what you want. If you don't get what you want, then what do you do? Again, you have three choices. Either you can give up, or you can keep trying the same thing again and again, or you can change the strategy. Then what will you do? What will you do? You have to change strategy, right? Action. So my question is this: how many times you need to do this? Is there any rule of times you must do this? How many times you need to till we achieve, till we reach success, till we get the desired result, till we achieve goals endlessly? Oh, I see endlessly. Great, right? I mean, as you said, if you check, this is a loop which goes on and on till the time you achieve what you want, right? Because life is all about that. Being successful is all about that. There is nothing like, okay, you do this 10 times, you'll be successful. Life never works that way. I'm sure all of you agree with me, right? And I'll give you some examples, real life examples. Is it true in their life? Definitely yes. Right? If you go ahead, check, uh, I'm sure you should be knowing who is this, right? Uh, by any chance, this is a familiar face, right? You just keyed in. You don't have to say anything. Uh, yeah, who was that? Whom I was sharing?
Thomas Alva Edison.
Right, Thomas Alva Edison. Why we all remember him for what? What he did differently, what he made for us, what he created for us. Maybe we know him as a scientist. We know him because we have seen sometimes his pictures in our science books. That's exactly why we know him. But the reality of his life is what? We all know that he found a light bulb, right? And how many times he needed to do something to create what he wanted. His objective was very clear. I want to create something which can glow. That's something what he wanted to create, right? And was he successful the very first time?
Yes.
Right? And it's not just once. If you go read the history, it's almost 9,999 times he was not able to get what he wanted because he was not able to achieve what he wanted. And so what happened was this: only on the going, right? And then he got like so excited about it. And then I mean, like how normally when people will come up to meet, right? And there were a lot of people from press who came up, who actually came up to say like, oh, we are so excited and it's wonderful how we made it happen, right? All these sort of things. And there was one question which was asked to him, Thomas Alva Edison, are you not feeling bad? And he was like, for what? And the question which was asked to him was this: Or you're not feeling bad because you failed almost 9,999 times is what we heard, right? You have failed so many times. Are you not feeling bad? The answer, what he gave, redefined the definition of what failure means, right? What he gave, the exact answer, what Thomas Alva Edison told was this. He is actually told, I found 9,999 ways of how not to invent a bulb. This is something what he has told. So which actually redefined what failure means, which actually went out to redefine, oh, failure means it's not giving up. If failure means it's not something where you don't achieve your result. Failure means it is not giving up. That's something what he has actually defined. So how he defined failure, how he defined what failure means is, I've found 9,999 ways of how not to invent a bulb. This definition has redefined the world. This definition has changed the perceptions of millions of people across the globe, right? And if we go ahead, check, one of the most powerful takeaway for every leader is this: there are no failures, only feedback. Listen very, very carefully. I am going to share with you some of the most powerful principles of leadership, right? Which will help you to master the leadership skills. Number one is this: when it comes to the neurology, the kind of neurons what you have, I'm sure you all remember, I told you the kind of capability what we have to handle the current situation is phenomenally high. We almost have like 1 million neurons. And some of you have this doubt whether I do have that many neurons. Definitely yes, right? So all of us have the same neurology. So if it is possible for somebody else like Thomas Alva Edison, it is possible for us, right? Number two is this. Number two is, there are no failures, only feedback. And one more story, right? See, this is again a real life happening, real life incident. I'm just picking up randomly few things which impacted my life personally a lot, right? See, this is about a car mechanic, right? He was a car mechanic. And what he did was this: he went out to figure out certain things about the engine in the car. He thought, once if I modify the engine a bit, the efficiency of the car will shoot up, will go up. So he was so excited about this idea. And then he went to the company called as Toyota, right, to sell this idea, to share this idea. And that time Toyota was very big organization, and they said, nothing doing, you please get out, because we are one of the largest company in the world, right? And you are a car mechanic wanting to teach us how to make our own cars, get out, right? And if he is a normal person, if he is not a leader, he might have given up at that point of time. So he went out to meet somebody else in the same company, Toyota, to say, I have a great idea. If you modify your engine a bit, your efficiency will go up. And what he heard was the same. They said, you get out, right? And he's not willing to give up. He was not willing to give up. He was keep on meeting more and more number of people to go ahead to share, I have something great, right? And the 14th person whom he met was so excited. He said, what you are telling makes sense. I want to find out and use this and check how it works. So normally whenever something is to be checked, there is a prototype which is created. So they said, you go make a prototype and come back, right? So this person went ahead, built a small factory. As he built a small factory, what happened was this: that was the time when World War II was happening, right? and the place in which he was living was bombed. And when it was bombed, what happened? His factory was demolished. And he was a mechanic, right? He has put in all his money, built a factory, and that was demolished. It's gone. If he is a normal person, he might have given up at that point of time, but he said there are no failures, only feedback. What he did was this: he has collected a lot of petrol cans, which are predominantly the leftovers of the World War II, and then he sold all those petrol cans, right? And then what he did was this: he collected a lot of money. He wrote a lot of letters to various cycle company owners, and then he collected more money, built the factory again. And when he built the factory again, what happened? There was an earthquake in the place where he was living. And what happened to his factory? It was demolished. And if he is a normal person, he should have given up. But what he did, he told to himself, there are no failures, only feedback. I will not give up. Right? And then he built the factory for the third time, putting whatever possible. And then that point of time, interestingly, nothing happened. Right? He was able to supply it to Toyota. And at some point of time in his journey, and Toyota was very happy with what they got. And they started placing more orders, and he was starting building his company bigger. At some point of time, he asked this most powerful question to himself: why don't I create my own car company? Right? And the rest is history. And who was that person? It was nobody else but Honda. Right? And why I'm sharing with you the story of Honda is something so inspiring for me personally. From a car mechanic, where he has reached in his life is just because he believed certain facts about himself, right? And apart from it, if you go ahead check, I'm sure some of you may be knowing him, because this person is inspiring, because he's a founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, right? One of the largest fried chicken selling chain across the globe. Why his life is so inspiring is Colonel Sanders is because he started his life when he was 65. When we think life is over, when most of the people feel, yeah, life is done, over, he started his life. He felt he had some secret recipe for making fried chickens. And then he started putting up a shop, right? And as he put up a shop, government built a bridge next to his shop. So there were no takers. So he was again to shut the shop, but he was not willing to give up, right? And then his journey was great. So the most inspiring part of his life is he started when he was 65. So I'm here to say, if some of you think, oh, I'm already this old, I can't do this, all those things, it's not, right? And apart from it, another most inspiring person is actually, who is this? Abraham Lincoln, right? Why his life is so inspiring is because of all these reasons, right? You can read it out. At 23, he lost job. 24, failed in business. 26, lover died. 27, nervous breakdown. 29, defeated for speaker. And then it goes on, right? And 48, again defeated for US Senate. When he was 51, he was elected as the president of the USA. That changed a lot of things for him. And all along, the reason is what? Because he was not willing to give up. Right? So if you go ahead check, I'm going to leave you with a set of what I will be calling as the thought process which defines leaders. Because if you go ahead check, leaders define, or leaders do have certain thought processes which are very unique compared to rest of the people. Leaders think differently. Leaders act differently. Why? Because they believe in different set of things. They feel things are completely different than the normal people. They were not born leaders. They chose to define their life differently, right? I will share with you one set of very, very important thoughts, right? From all these things, whatever we have learned is number one is this. All of us have the same neurology. What do you mean by this? Whatever number of neurons I have is the same number of neurons you have. Whatever number of neurons you have is the same number of neurons what Abraham Lincoln or Honda or Dr. Abdul Kalam or whoever it is, they also have, right? So all of us have the same neurology. If it is possible for others, it's possible for me. And number two is this. There are no failures, only feedback. I mean, whenever you don't get the result what you want, always remember, it is not a failure, it is only a feedback. And next one is this. For things to change, I must change first. Nothing in this world will change till the time you decide to change. How many of you think, oh, my husband has to change, my wife has to change, my children have to change, my teachers have to change, my college has to change, my boss has to change? Believe me, nothing is going to change till the time you decide to change. Because if you go check the life of all these people whom I have shared with you, the truth is this: for things to change, I must change first. If you want the things around you to change, there is only one way. You must start to change. And the last and the most important success principles is take responsibility, no blame, no excuses, no complaining. Right? That's right. So if you go ahead, check, these are all the success principles which I will repeat. Number one is this. All of us have the same neurology. If it is possible for others, it is possible for me. There are no failures, only feedback. For things to change, I must change first. Take responsibility, no blame, no excuses, and no complaining. Right? So what I will do is this. I'll be requesting Sampath on the screen. Sampath, please do come on the screen. Right? And I will quickly take your help to run through these 4 success principles, maybe about 4 or 5 times. Right? Sam, you're there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. So please run through
I'm there.
these 4 success principles 4 or 5 times. People who are connected, you don't have to unmute your mic because there is large number of people in. So you can say to yourself, maybe you can teach people around, you can teach somebody who is around, but I'll tell you the action. Right? All of us have the same neurology. Okay? If it is possible for others, it's...
All of us have...
Yeah, Sam, you start.
Yeah. All of us have the same neurology. If it is possible for others, it's possible for me. Right? I'll repeat it once again. All of us have the same neurology. If it is possible for others, it's possible for me. Right? Once again, I'll repeat it. All of us have the same neurology. When it is possible for others, it's possible for me. Right? For things to change, I change first. Right? For things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. Past is not equal to future. Right? Past is not equal to future. Past is not equal to future.
Yeah. For things to change, I must change first.
Yeah, for things to change, I must change first. Right? For things to change, I must change first. Right? For things to change, I must change first. Right? All of us have the same neurology. It is possible for others, it's possible for me. All of us have the same neurology. When it is possible for others, it's possible for me. Past is not equal to future. Right? Past is not equal to future. And is there anything to be repeated once again? I'll repeat it once again, Vidya.
Yeah, I will also be
Audio
requesting.
is
Of this project, 20 crore rupee was spent by the government in 1979. I will also be requesting Sam to share one of my video links, right? Because I've actually created one video which I call it as tribute to Dr. Abdul Kalam. I would like to share a small bit of that video because I pulled out a clip from Dr. Kalam's speech, which will go with whatever I have shared with you, how it is not a failure, only feedback. So I'm not going to share with you the entire video. It is, though it is just a 5 minutes video, but I will be sharing it in the chat screen, the link of it. But right now I'll be sharing a portion of that video, right? So with that, we will be calling it.
I have shared that link.
Yeah, you can
share that link.
I will share that video for all. I mean, the whole world was looking at India, and it was a glorious moment for the country. History was rewritten. All these set of things was what reported in media. But what was the private story? Because Dr. Abdul Kalam was a mission director. So what was the private story? A year back, in 1979, when this mission was failed, thousands of scientists worked on it. Over 10,000 people were part of this project. 20 crore rupee was spent by the government in 1979, which went into Bay of Bengal. If you go here, Dr. Kalam, what he says is this was people's money was just drowned into Bay of Bengal, and how he felt was he felt completely depressed. He felt so low about what happened on that day.
In 79, we were ready. Thousands of engineers, thousands of workers and staff, they all worked together. Then we moved the satellite launch vehicle from Vikram Sarabhai Space Center to the now Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. And that day, 17th August 1979, and I am the mission director, project director, and we're all in the control center, and computer takes over. Computer will take over. Then the second stage took off within a minute, within a second, it got it to spin. That means it should be steady. It's a controlled rocket system by a guidance system. But it was going to spin. I knew I lost the rocket system. Within few seconds, instead of putting the satellite in the orbit, the whole system went to Bay of Bengal. And then how do you handle a failure? It's very important for entrepreneurs. Life is not so simple. We have to handle the failures with stout heart. Exactly after 1 year, that is 18th July 1980, we go to the launch pad and the countdown starts. T-minus I hand over to the computer. Computer checks out. First stage is the rocket system. First stage gives the required velocity. Second stage gives the required velocity. Third stage gives the required velocity. And fourth stage required the escape velocity for to put the satellite in the orbit. I'm seeing in front of me how what is the performance taking place. I took the microscope. I took the mic. I announced all the station. Here is your mission director. The satellite is in the orbit, and we congratulate you. I told them. So he had to put in a lot of efforts to come out of that challenge. And it's not only that particular 1 year was so tough for him because between 1979 and 1980. So that was a short sharing. I will also request
I mean, just to let you know that there are no failures, only feedback, right? And I will request Sampath to share the link of that particular video of mine, because this video I have created immediately after I had the opportunity to meet up with Dr. Kalam. So immediately after that, this video was created. So it was a very inspiring experience. And apart from it, if you need to just share any of your thought process, any of your inputs, everything, you can just go ahead and send emails at info@onlysuccess.net. So I am also sharing my email ID vidya@onlysuccess.net. So that is something what I have to share. So it is a wonderful time having all of you here, and it was a very patient listening from each and every one of you. So it was thanks a lot. Once again, I thank the university for giving this great opportunity to connect with all of you. So stay safe. So this too will pass. We will emerge out more powerfully as we cross this situation. So let us look forward for better times. And thanks a lot, all of you. So I thank Lakshmi Narayanan, who is connected, who is also director of Only Success. I thank Sampath, who is a lead trainer, and I thank Dr. Krishnan, who was through this entire session, who was supporting us all through. Thanks a lot, all of you. Thanks a lot for the great time. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you all. This is Lakshmi Narayanan from Only Success. Actually, we request you to post your feedback on the chat window, or request you to share any question if you wanted to ask it in the chat window, or you can write it to info@onlysuccess.net.
Maybe I can also take one or two questions, just 2 or 3 questions max.
You can post your questions in the chat window. If you would like to ask any question to Mr. Vidya Shankar. Okay, one of the question is how to ensure team support while we do new things. One of the questions, Vidya, is how to, get the team support when we do the new things actually.
See, one of the things which always works the best is passion, right? Say, passion is something which can be transformed to anybody, right? If you have a lot of passion towards what you are doing, then automatically the team gets engaged. And in Dr. Kalam's speech, always he talks about Professor Satish, the one. So what he has to share, or what he says is, when failure happens, a leader takes the responsibility. When success happens, he gives it to the team, right? So that's when the rocket went into the Bay of Bengal, he took the responsibility. When it was on the right, when it is positioned right, it was given to the team, right? So that always inspires team, that brings in more participation from them. So I will take one more question.
Okay, the other question is how to overcome fear.
Okay, that is an interesting one, because when it comes to fear, there are 3 ways in which fear can be handled. Because why I took that question was, at this point of time, it is a very, very relevant question. Because the biggest emotion is fear and uncertainty. Fear, number 1, is you can completely get carried away by fear, overwhelmed by fear, which means fear controls you, right? Fear defines what you will do, what you can't do in your life. So that is one aspect. So whenever fear completely controls you, unfortunately, you can't do anything in life, right? You'll be frightened to take action. You will always feel limited. That's what the power of fear is. And the second choice what you have is, where you deny fear. Deny fear is it makes you careless about things. Say, for example, I always give this example. Denying fear is equivalent to not wearing a helmet and speeding up on the road. It's a sure disaster, right? Or say, assume you have an exam, you don't prepare and go to the exam. It is not denying fear, right? So if you deny fear, what happens is this, that is a recipe for disaster, right? Or the third option is this, where you accept fear and prepare yourself for it. You don't deny fear, but you accept fear. You understand fear is a useful option and then use it to drive you. Then that helps you to achieve a lot of things. So it may be interesting, surprising to know fear is a very useful emotion, because without fear, it is too difficult. You will always take things for granted. People who don't have fear towards relationship will spoil a relationship, right? If you don't fear the relationship with your spouse, you spoil it. With your children, you spoil it. So there is a fear towards something is very useful, but how much you have makes all the difference, right? So with this, we will call it as a session. So thanks a lot. Thanks for being here. Thanks a lot, all of you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And your next session, I have shared the link, and your next session is on 8th. That's at 3 p.m.